Welcome to Buddha Dharma TV's Sunday program. I am Lisa Chu. Namo Buddhaya. Today, we will start with a sermon followed by a song with our weekly Dharma Pada session. The sermon today is by a well-known Buddhist monk. Bhante Jagaru is a Buddhist monk from the United States. He became interested in Buddhism as a layperson after attending a meditation retreat in 2004. He became inspired by stories from the Pali Canon and more contemporary teachers like Ajahn Chah and Ajahn Brahm. Motivated by gratitude and determination, he sought to dedicate his life to the possibility of deep inner peace. After exploring several monasteries, Bhante Jagaru was eventually ordained as a Buddhist monk in 2016 in Abhayagiri Monastery in Northern California. He trained under several teachers, including Ajahn Pasano, Ajahn Viradamo, and Ajahn Mudito. Since 2023, he has focused on wandering in the United States, seeking to find an appropriate balance between seclusion and compassionate engagement. We respectfully invite Venerable Bhante Jagaru to deliver the second part of his sermon, Loss, Facing Up to Instability.
Dhamma is not a teaching of the intellect, so to speak. There's an aspect of the intellect to understand, what teachers are saying or pointing to, but it's really more of a teaching of the heart, or as one teacher said, you have to know, to really know Dhamma, you have to know the Dhamma in your butt. Yeah, yeah. And this Dhamma teacher was I don't think was just being provocative. I mean, you really need to know this at the deepest, bone, cellular level. And the way we can learn this is by persistently, patiently practicing in all situations, not being afraid of our setbacks. And like in this case, the recognizing like, wow, I still grieved over this dog. I still felt guilty for things I could have done. Good, you're aware of this. Good. What does it feel like? What does that feel like to grieve? What is that? What's actually that? What does that dukkha feel like? Something doesn't feel good, but how does it not feel good? And so this is actually one of the reasons why I really appreciate the meditation on breathing, and particular, and also the meditation of the contemplation of the body, because we're often not even aware of how the body feels when we're maybe experiencing a lot of dukkha. Sometimes people go to retreats. I've heard of this kind of third hand that people sometimes report, when they're encouraged to start practicing, paying attention to the body and starting to feel the different parts of the body, and are like, I can't feel anything below the top of my head. There's sometimes people, yeah, like that. You're like, wow, yeah. So what does it actually feel like? What does that mean to, you're like, how do you know that, you're like this, God, I really wish I could have done something more. Like, okay, the thoughts are going on, but how do you feel in the body when this is going on? Yeah. And what is that like? And can you be with that? Yeah, very patiently, very attentively. Yeah. In my own experience, I can't say for you, but my experience is that in the body, there'll often be certain parts of the body that'll be tense or contracting or maybe piercing or um, feeling it, uneat ease, maybe nauseous, kind of intestinal areas. Yeah. There might be pressure in the head or in the neck. maybe in the back of the eyes. I'm just using a few examples in this particular body mind over here, but it'll be different for different people. But really start to get a sense for how that feels and how that changes. Yeah, it won't be the same. Things will be in flux, right? Some places will feel like hard as a rock, and other places will be jumping all around. Yeah. And start to get a sense of how that feels, and perhaps most importantly, the willingness to be with that experience, that be with that experience of dukkha. So, wow, kind of those thoughts of really wishing you could have done this for your dog. You could have been there for your dog. And what is that like? That the mind is going like that. Yeah. How does it feel in the rest of the body? And being very patient with that. So that's something maybe I would encourage or reflect.
Thank you, Bante. Someone else has said they're currently grappling with the loss of identity. So things that we identify with, losing that.
Things that we identify with. I would like to ask the person a follow-up question. That's okay. Like, can you be more specific?
Sure. I kind of know because
okay,
I'm
you know the
talking to
person.
this person.
Okay.
But feel free, this person, to pop it into the chat. But I'll just keep talking based on what I know.
Okay.
It's more like sometimes we may identify. So, for example, I'm vegetarian. So identify that I'm vegetarian, and then my circumstances don't allow me to be vegetarian. So then I have to like not do that.
Sure.
But I have that identification with myself as vegetarian.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
She says, yes, please share for me. I don't
know. Okay. No, that's a yeah. So there are often many situations as a Buddhist monk, kind of similar to this, as a Theravada monk, where we're allowed to accept meat under certain conditions, basically, as long as it's cooked meat, as long as the meat, the animal wasn't killed specifically for us. Yeah. But the truth is that at least for this monk, eating meat is often a very sad experience. Um, maybe sad's not the right word, but definitely not uplifting. Yeah, the opposite. It's kind of a grisly affair. And actually, the Buddha encouraged us to reflect whenever if we are if you get accept meat and to actually reflect on where this came. The animal suffered a lot for this food. Um, I forgot which sutta, but I remember reading a sutta. Somebody was asking me about this. I don't recall which one, but the Buddha was maybe giving an analogy of we have to eat meat to imagine a couple. They are lost in the desert, yeah, and they had an only child, and because they're lost in the desert, the child dies, and so the couple, continuing to try to find a way out of the desert, decides they're running low on supplies. They don't have any food left. They decide to eat the child to survive. How do you think the parents would feel eating their child? Yeah. I mean, even if like quite literally the meat tasted, meat you generally tastes, pleasant. Do you think they would enjoy it? Yeah. And that's actually the encouragement that the Buddha gave to whenever we're eating meat, not see it as something to delight in, but to actually see this as, what if you had a friend? There's one of your best friends, and for many people, their pets are their best friend. And what if you had to eat your best friend to survive? Yeah. And so um, this is something like a way we can maybe use a situation that we're in, right? Instead of perhaps, kind of thinking about, I keep my, kind of identity, right? Perhaps try to broaden it or think about it from other perspectives, from other being perspectives. So in this case of, being vegetarian, um, kind of a classic example of this is, you go to some relative's house and some old aunt or uncle is making some special thing. They worked all day and it's, whatever, some meat dish, and they don't know you're vegetarian. And they offered to you because they love you. Are you going to turn it down? And I'm not saying, not to turn it down. There might be situations where it might make sense to do so, but for a lot of people, they might just accept it, even if they are vegetarian, because they know the person didn't mean to do any harm to you, you know? So maybe that's something to consider.
Thank you, Bante. This person has clarified, added more information. So what this person is working with at the moment is holding on to ideals of who we want to be, but losing the idea of who we are. For example, this person is fruitarian. So I would never do X, or I am this type of way, or I do things like this. So that kind of thinking pattern may not necessarily be helpful, but how to help someone who does have that kind of thinking pattern is very attached to these types of ideals and ways of doing things.
I see. It sounds like, if I were to make a guess, that there's maybe a sense of safety and comfort in that identity. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there can be a sense of like, okay, if I am this way, then at least I'm safe. At least I'm not doing something wrong. I'm doing something bad. I'm not doing something that could get me hurt, or and I mean, there is a sense where for example, the Buddha, when he was talking about, for example, precepts, yeah, ethical behavior, yeah. So in the Buddhist tradition, the precepts are to not kill any living creature, including, bug, yeah, to not steal anything, to not sexually assault or sort of commit marital infidelity, to not lie, and to not, take alcohol or drugs in a kind of heedless way to intoxicate oneself. Yeah. Um, if one really, takes this on and really commits to it, one actually can feel a lot of confidence and well-being, from the sense that one knows that, okay, no matter what happens, I know I'm not, doing anything wrong. Yeah. So Buddha actually recognized there is a sense of kind of well-being and safety around not doing anything wrong. Yeah. So it's not to maybe discount that kind of inclination, because there is something to that, right? Um, but I think um, perhaps sometimes uh, we can take things on perhaps in a way that is kind of how do I say this? Maybe a bit too kind of self-absorbed or self-focused. Yeah. So one of the important things about the precepts is that we're doing it in part because it's an act of generosity to all beings around us. Yeah. Yeah. So when you take on, for example, make a commitment to not kill even bugs, you're basically saying to the world, you're giving every being you encounter, no matter how big, no matter how small, okay, no matter how much you annoy me, irritate me, make me angry, I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to give you that amount of safety. Yeah. I'm going to do everything I can to keep you safe in that way. Yeah. So that's a gift of safety, right? And it's kind of similarly to take on the commitment to not steal. It's like, no matter how much of a bastard you are, no matter how whatever you are, no matter how desperate things get, I'm not going to take your stuff. Yeah. Right. The same thing with sexual assault and sexual infidelity and lying and kind of verbal abuse and we'll put the kind of intoxicant one. This is a because that's kind of a special one, kind of. But this first four, it's basically a commitment to, um, it's, like it's a gift. It's like taking on that commitment. It's a gift to all beings around you. Yeah. So you're doing it as a social thing. You're doing it kind of for everybody. So maybe one way I would kind of look at maybe kind of the identity around something like that is there a way of kind of really looking at that in a kind of in a bigger way, and kind of in a broader way, looking at from other perspectives. Yeah. Um, I remember kind of who was I talking to? Somebody recently. We took a trip out somewhere, and they were saying it was somewhere here in Sydney. It was a beautiful place, and somebody was saying, "Oh gosh, I feel kind of guilty for enjoying this beautiful scene when I know there's other people suffering." And I'm like no, like if I were out there suffering somewhere, some prison or whatever, like I don't want you to, be miserable out here. Enjoy your time. So sometimes you can kind of misapprehend maybe what other people or other animals or other beings would want us to do. So maybe encouraging this person who asked this question around struggling with identity to try to see things from other perspectives. And one of the ways you can do this is one, just by talking with people or going out, let's say in nature and interacting with animals. Yeah, that's actually one of the things I really appreciate as a monk. People like interacting with people that don't know you, and like, oh, what are you? They're like, oh, and just watch it. So I remember this time where I spent the Vasa outside this area that had a lot of bears coming through, and I was also in kind of I would also feed the squirrels and the birds, and I just watched them. I spent a lot of time just watching them. And these birds and squirrels, sometimes they would be really territorial, and other times they'd just be kind of hanging out with each other like old friends, and then they would go back at it fighting with each other, and other times, they would just ignore each other, and other times and it was like, wow, okay, they have a whole life of their own, and they have a lot of I don't know, just you could say not just personality, but I mean these are beings just like you and I. They feel things just like you and I. Often they're just looking for food, trying to stay safe. Yeah, just like you and I. Yeah. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, that's a very good and comprehensive answer. And knowing this person, I think that would help a lot.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
And in fact, I think at one point she was like spot on.
Oh, sure. Okay.
I can see it.
Okay.
We have another question from someone online.
Okay.
What would you recommend to help with dealing with the loss of confidence?
Lots of confidence.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah. Doing everything wrong. Failure. Completely blew it. Well, one of the things I think is important is, and I think you might be doing this already, but if not, um, find find at least one thing that you can feel at least some amount of confidence in. Yeah, at least one thing that you don't find yourself completely hopeless at. And I know this is you're like, so what? I mean, let's say I don't know. I'm just picking anything. It really doesn't matter. Just some hobby or pursuit or whatever. Just just do that thing. Maybe you're really into, I don't know, um, making, like a lot of people are into like plants and stuff, and they have plants in their home. And they're like, so what I do all the time, anyway, can, take care of plants. No, just keep doing whatever it is that doesn't matter how small, doesn't matter how inconsequential. Um, it's important sometimes to just have some anchor for feeling completely hopeless, for feeling completely like bereft of any sort of value to this world or life. Yeah. just so we don't completely drown. Yeah. The other thing I'd recommend, if possible, is if you do have friends. I mean, for those here in the Dhamma community or on the chat, these are really nice people here. So if you find yourself maybe not without much of a community, maybe reach out. These are really nice folks. Yeah, they'd love to have spend time with you and sit. See, just said yes, yeah. And like, oh, I don't want to bother other people. No, 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 no. You're actually giving a possibility of a lot of merit. Yeah. So the way we Buddhists think, generosity, yeah, is merit. That means basically whenever we get a chance to be generous, we're actually helping ourselves. Yeah. So you being miserable, right, in front of us and giving us a chance to cheer you up is giving us all a chance to give dana. Yeah. So you're actually like helping all of us out. So yeah, don't be afraid to like plop into a Buddhist gathering and be miserable. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so keeping something up, no matter how inconsequential it is, something that you can keep doing. Being with good friends that can that have your well-being at heart, and probably the last thing is again, I'm a big fan of meditation involving the body. Yeah. And one of the reasons for that is because a lot of times, especially in Western affluent brainiac cultures, this is Eberlin University, there's a lot of smarty pants here, right? We're just in our heads too much, yeah. And it's actually quite helpful to develop more of an attention and experience that's not so much up here. Yeah. And that takes time, right? But it will help you in the long run. You'll get a better sense of what all this, feelings of, doubt and feelings of incompetence or, feeling like you can't do anything right, is really about. Yeah. So consider those three things, okay?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Bhante. And yes, you're all welcome to come to Metta Center. And we have a WhatsApp group. If you're feeling like you're not having such a great day, you can pop something into the chat. If you want to share about some great things that you've been doing that day, you can also share it into the chat as well. And we also have volunteering. So we do mentoring. So we will boost your confidence. Don't worry. Bhante, we have another question from someone online. Bhante, we live with family members like our parents since we were born, or with some significant others. So some of them we've been living with their presence for so long that we get used to it. And it's a normal thing in the world that when we lose them, we experience deep sadness. How do we prepare for this kind of loss before it comes? Because loss will surely come.
Very good. You do it by bringing it up to mind. Buddha, one of the really important meditative reflections the Buddha encourages practitioners is to reflect on dying. So one of the classic ones that we can do is the five. Gosh, I forgot how it often gets translated, but the 5 things to recollect. Yeah, and it's something you could do daily. Yeah. Does anybody know what these are? Yeah. Throw the ball at one of. Yeah, pass the ball. Does everybody remember the 5 things for frequent recollection? Yeah. Anyone want to give it a try? Even out online?
I remember the 4th.
Okay, you remember the 4th? Good. What was the 4th?
Talked about it.
What is the 4th?
Basically, I will be parted from all that I hold dear.
Yes. Yeah.
Isn't it like I involve the nature to
what? What's the first one?
pass the ball to you?
Right, Tina?
I am of the nature to grow old,
Yes.
to get sick, and to die.
Yes. So I'm of the nature to get old. I have not gone beyond getting old. I'm of the nature to get sick. I have not gone beyond getting sick. I am of the nature to die. I have not gone beyond dying. All that is mine, beloved and pleasing, will become otherwise will become separated from me. Yeah. What's the last one? Does anyone remember?
All beings
Heir of their karma.
Yeah.
born of the karma.
Yes. Keep going. Keep going. You can do it.
Their karma. You can do it.
Go for it.
Born of their karma.
Heirs
Heirs
to the karma for the actions they do.
The soul shall be there.
Yeah, they'll be heirs to that.
Very good. Very good. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. This is something to reflect upon again and again. It's a good thing to do it daily. Yeah. Or even more than daily. Yeah. So this is how we can start preparing for our inevitable departure from our family, our friends, our loved ones, even our enemies. Yeah. Tina was mentioning it. There's some good things, It's like, okay, yeah, maybe that all our loved ones, but our enemies, we have to deal with them. And people we get really annoyed by. The only problem is that unless you get enlightened, right, you're gonna have to get a new crop of people or other beings that you get annoyed by. So I remember, I had this kind of thing. I remember kind of thinking about long. This is actually when I was a lay person. I was like, do I really want to go through high school again? Oh no, that's motivation for Dhamma.
So are there any other questions for those in person, those online?
What if you like lose your purpose or like a belief system you have, and all of a sudden it's like maybe it's sort of like identity. Maybe you are
Yeah,
attached to the job you
yeah.
maybe, yeah. So you work up, and one day it's all gone,
Yeah,
and the purpose is gone, and
yeah.
deal with that.
So I'm going to share a story along this line. I mean, what better, thing to kind of like than a Buddhist monk, let's say Buddhism, brings this up. So there's a story, and I apologize, I don't know the details. I wasn't there. There's kind of like one of these things you hear as a apocryphal, third hand or something. I don't even know where it came from. It's probably in one of the books or something. But basically, the story of so my preceptor is Ajahn Pasano, and he was a student of a famous Thai monk who many of you know, Ajahn Chah. And so there's another famous student of Ajahn Chah, Western student. He's currently the most senior of Ajahn Chah's Western students, named Ajahn Sumedho. So my memory is that Ajahn Sumedho was, practicing as a Buddhist monk under Ajahn Chah at one of the monasteries. It might have been at Wat Nong Pah Pong, or it might have been after when they were started the international monastery at Wat Pah Nanachat. And they apparently there was another monk and a Meiji nun, I think, or it might have been a lay woman. I want to say it was I can't remember if it was a nun or somebody maybe was thinking about being one of. Anyways, this monk and this woman, whether she was a nun or kind of like just a very serious Buddhist practitioner, one day they both disrobed, left the monastery, and they became like evangelical Christians. Yeah. I want to say even like a priest or something like this. Again, I don't know the detail of the story, so I apologize for getting all the details wrong, but the gist of the story is important. So anyways, Ajahn Sumedho was quite distraught from it, right? Right. So you went to Ajahn Chah and he said, Chah, did you hear about, so and so, disrobed, and they left the monastery, they're no longer Buddhist, and they're not just disrobed, they're no longer Buddhists, they're Christians, and what do you think about this? And Ajahn Chah said something like wryly, like, I don't know. So what if they're right? Yeah. So yeah. This is why we can't, all these kind of conditioned phenomena. Yeah, even something like these robes, all these formalities in Buddhist monk. it's not unless one has a sense of the deep stillness that the Buddha was talking about, understand that, knows that for themselves. There's always going to be something that, you know, not, we're not on stable ground. Yeah. The Buddha said that's actually the kind of definition of a sotapanna or a stream enter is one who has that stability, who's not going to get blown off course. They might make mistakes or whatever, but they know the Dhamma, they know the direction. They're not going to get completely blown off. Yeah. So the Buddha said this was possible. Yeah. And there is this deep stillness and stability that one can experience. Mm. Mm.
Great. Any other questions? Those in person, those online. And there's a lot of activity online about the 5 recollections.
Oh, great.
Just clarifying each of them, but also just the last one. Could you elaborate a bit more in relation to the last one? So the owner of my actions, heir to my actions, born of my actions, related through my actions. And for that I shall be the heir.
Yeah. So this is the understanding of karma. Yeah. This is you can say this is like really taking responsibility. Yeah, you hear this word. I know in the US we have this kind of phrase, oh, you need to take responsibility for your actions, right? Everybody points to everybody else and says, you need to take responsibility. No, you need to take responsibility, right? So taking responsibility is actually, I'm going to stop pointing the finger. Yeah. I'm going to stop pointing the fingers, blaming this or that. The reason why I'm unhappy is because this government. The reason I'm unhappy because this person. The reason I'm happy because this work. The reason I'm unhappy is this floor. And the reason I'm happy is this water. And the reason I'm happy is this. Okay. The kind of the gist of karma is, okay, I am the owner of my action. The buck stops here. Yeah. So if there is unhappiness, if there is unease, if there's dukkha, I want to start really paying attention to what I'm doing. How am I contributing to this? How am I adding to it? How am I reinforcing? Yeah. And I know it's not an easy thing, but that, like anything in life, if you're not used to it, you have to try. I was talking to Russia, it was really nice having a lot of conversations. He's been driving me very kind and generous and driving me to different places. And it's sort of like a lot of times it's like, yeah, we like we're looking at all this, let's say we're watching football. Like I know here in Australia, you have like Australian rules football, and in the United States, we have American style football, and in the rest of the world, they have the normal football. I heard there's even other kind of football, whatever, I don't know. But the point being is that you can, yell at this person for not, doing this play right or performing this well, but why don't you go in the field and try it yourself? You're like, no, I can't. I might make a mistake. I might look like a fool. Okay, so what? We all have to make mistakes. We all have to be a fool. We have to try. Yeah. I mean, I'll say this, like, I remember before I became a monk, I remember talking to this one Dhamma teacher, a lay Dhamma teacher, was a lay person. I was telling her, I was like, the thing I'm a big well, I should do this, but it's like, there's no way I can do this. I'm totally like, I'm a total like addict to this and that, and I have no spiritual, I may have a little bit of this, but no way I can be a monk. It's impossible. And it's just like, we got to start somewhere. Yeah. So go on the field, pick up the ball, try running, and you're gonna fall over. Somebody's gonna tackle you, whatever. And you'll get bruised, you'll get knocked over, you're gonna feel incompetent. That's okay. You get up, pick up the ball, and try again. Yeah. And you'll find out, usually over time, you'll get a little bit better. And if you keep getting knocked over, too much, go find another field, another team. Maybe they're still able to. You don't need to like jump into like the pro league or whatever. But I don't know what the different levels are here. Start out with playing with kids or something.
Dante, just as a wrap-up question, someone has asked, do you have any tips for helping others through grief and loss? So you've touched on a lot of those. Any other tips to help people who are going through grief?
Right. So I guess this is in the context of maybe somebody helping somebody else.
Yeah. Or even they themselves, for helping others through their grief.
So if one is engaged, that's kind of has this as a practice. Maybe they do as a volunteer, or maybe part of their job. You already know that patience and listening are very important, primary. I think one of the things that can be helpful with people when they're going through grief and loss is reminding people of their own goodness and skills and talent. Yeah. Kind of what one of the persons said before, it's not uncommon for people to have feelings like they could have done something, right? They should have done something better, or maybe they should have been with the person more, they feel maybe regret around not having spent as much time with the person. And so it's actually quite helpful to encourage people to remind them of their own goodness, remind them of their own value in this, and to try to use whatever the situation is as a springboard for developing additional or strengthening their goodness. Yeah. So that's what comes to mind.
We would like to present a meaningful song that begins with, "My child, look up and learn the truth I show. Trust not illusions visioned, ever brief and fleeting. For only truth can give thee thy heart's desire." Please enjoy this sweet song during the short break. It is by Bdtv.
Lord Buddha speaks to me in essence, Lord. My child, look up and learn the truth I show. Trust not illusions vision, ever brief and fleeting, for only truth can give thee thy heart's desire. Lord Buddha speaks to me when sin holds sway, when passion's fire rise high and way. Fear not, for I have conquered. Passions fierce and raging, tread thou the path I show thee. Therein lies peace. Lord Buddha speaks to me when friends depart, when loneliness assails my aching heart. My child, my feet once wandered, lonely in the forest, but in the hour of darkness I found truth's light. Lord Buddha speaks to me in death's dark night, when closing eyes no more can see earth's light. My child, he whispers softly, brighter light is shining. Hold fast the truth I gave thee, and thou shalt see.
Now it's time for the weekly Dhammapada sermon, a collection of sayings of the Buddha, which is one of the best known Buddhist scriptures and most widely read. The weekly Dhammapada sermon will be presented by Venerable Professor Bhante Sivali. Let us welcome Bhante Sivali to present a brief sermon on verse 82 of the Dhammapada.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Good evening. Welcome to the Dhammapada program in Bdtv. Thank you for coming, for taking part in Dhamma sermon, by listening and encouraging us. So today we are going to discuss the verse number 82, the chapter 6 on the voice. We have already finished the chapter on the fools. Now we are going to deal with the voice. 82 verse begins, Yatapi Rado Gambhiro Vippasanno Anavilo Evan Dhammani Suttvana Vippasidanti Pandita. The literal meaning of this verse is the exceedingly deep oceans are tranquil. That means deep oceans, tranquil, calm, and are not agitated. In the same way, those wise ones who listen to the Dhamma, words of the Buddha, acquire deep awareness and are extremely calm and tranquil. So here the Radho Gambhiru, deep ocean, in this stanza is the purity of mind experienced by those who have heard the words of the Buddha, the Dhamma, teachings of the Buddha, or noble things, is declared to be similar to the clarity of the water of the deep oceans. The ordinary masses who are not familiar with these teachings of Buddha, the ordinary masses who have not had the advantage of listening to the word of the Buddha are impure in mind, agitated and troubled. Why? Because they never had the opportunity to listen to the Dhamma, didn't have the access to the knowledge of the Dhamma, to have the knowledge of the Dhamma. Therefore, they are impure in mind, agitated and troubled. Therefore, Buddha's teaching is that everything the good renounce, the peaceful chatter not of fond delights, and whether touched by pleasure or pain, not joy nor woe in the wise is seen. That means that is the number 83 discussed, because they are similar meaning. Therefore, we try to touch both 82, 83 and also 84. To them, the Buddha replied, it is in the nature of the foolish to be full of sorrow and feel depressed when things go wrong, and to be full of gladness and feel elated when things go well. The wise, however, can withstand the ups and downs of life. Only the wise, because wise can see the things properly and can understand properly, distinguish between the good and bad, right and wrong to some extent. Therefore, the wise, however, can withstand the ups and downs of life. The noble and wise persons are not attached to anything whatsoever in the mind. The disciplined persons do not talk desiring worldly things. Desiring worldly things are full of vain words when you discuss, when you talk that way. When we talk about worldly things, full of vain words. And desiring worldly things, material benefits or sensual delights, the disciplined person do not talk the vain words, worldly things. Whatever fortune or ill fortune may touch them, they remain calm, neither depressed nor elated. Neither depressed nor elated. The wise remain undisturbed both in pleasure and in pain. Pleasure and pain are a pair of opposites. A pair of opposites. They are the most powerful factors that affect mankind. What can be endured with ease is sukha, pleasure. What is difficult to bear is dukkha, pain. Ordinary happiness is the gratification of a desire. No sooner the desired thing is gained, then we desire some other kind of pleasure. Is it right? In fact, it are not our selfish desires. The enjoyment of sensual pleasures is the highest and only happiness to an average person. No doubt there is a momentary happiness in the anticipation, gratification, and recollection of such sensual pleasures, highly prized by the sensualist. But they are illusory and temporary. Real happiness is found within and is not to be defined in terms of wealth, power, honors, or conquests. So the good people keep on walking whatever happens. They do not speak vain words. They do not speak vain words. And are the same in the good fortune and bad. If a person desires neither children nor wealth, no power, no success, by unfair means, know him to be good, wise, and virtuous. Wise and virtuous. The real happiness is found within and is not to be found or not to be defined in terms of wealth, power, honors, or conquests. Honors or conquest. So these three verses, number 82, 83, and 84, combined, we can get a similar meaning. Similar meaning. Therefore, we combine and try to make one sermon. Not for one's own benefit, nor for that of others. Does he desire children, wealth, or kingdom? Nor does he desire self-glory. Thus he is realistic, penetrative, and well-behaved. Well-behaved. This verse gives an appropriate answer to the common question, why did Prince Siddhartha forsake his wife, child, parents, and kingdom, if not for his own benefit? This verse reminds us that he would not do the unrealistic things for his own benefit or for others. It is owing to the right understanding of the nature of the world, it is instability, sorrowfulness, and impersonality. Instability, sorrowfulness, and understanding of the nature of the world. that he left home because of instability, sorrowfulness, and impersonality. He left home. At the same time, he did not disparage worldly wisdom. He tried to acquire knowledge even from his servants, worldly wisdom. He tried to acquire knowledge from everything, from his servants. Never did he show any desire to display his knowledge. What he knew was always at the disposal of others, and that he imparted to them unreservedly. He tried his best to lead others from darkness to light. What he did was to stop running after illusions. He started to live realistically, not only for himself, but also to show an example to others. I have summarized these 3 verses in a nutshell, shortly, in brief. That is for understanding purpose, and also to get rid of outside attention and concentrate on good deeds. May you all be well and happy.
My child, he whispers softly, brighter light is shining. Hold fast the truth I gave thee, and thou shalt see.
That concludes today's program. If you have any questions about the contents of our broadcast, please feel free to reach out to us at info@buddhadharmatv.com. Our dedicated team remains committed to sharing the profound teachings of the Buddha, helping you walk the path of wisdom and enlightenment. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again next week at the same time. Namo Buddhaya.